right. Hey, everybody. Hey, welcome. We're live. Good to have you here on this Friday afternoon. Well, that's what it is, where I am right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is November 12th, 2021. I think that sounds about right. It's great to have everybody here. We're going to be talking about today, we're going to be doing our classic English Q&A, of course. And also have a video I want to go through talking about Victorian English. Victorian English. And let's see, what else? Yes, another thing. Black Friday sale is happening for the yearly membership. So for a limited time, you can sign up for the yearly membership on my website. That's in the link in the description. You get access to all of my courses. They have subtitles. You can always reach out to me if you have questions as you go through the courses. And so check that out. Big discount on the courses for the Black Friday sale. That's, again, the yearly membership. Special price, of course, after a free trial. So in the link. What else? Anything else? No, I don't think so. Henrique is here. Hello from Brazil. And Britogen. Greetings. Good to have all of you here. We also, of course, doing the Q&A. So bring your questions about whatever things you may have questions about. Maybe that's idioms and phrases, maybe that's pronunciation or culture or whatever. Hi, Summer. Good to have you as well. Great to have you. Hope you all have good weekend plans, or at least something planned for the weekend. I don't know, generally the time zone, it's 3 p.m. here, so for most people watching, well, it depends on where you are, but some people may be finishing work, some people may be right in the middle, some people maybe don't work at all, I don't know. You're here because you need to train your listening, says Henrique. Okay, well, hopefully I'll be able to help with that. Although I try to speak kind of clearly, not necessarily slowly, but clearly, so that everyone can understand pretty well. So I might not challenge you too much, but I can say we are going to be watching a video later that might be a bit more challenging. We're going to be checking out some Victorian English. That was a terrible Victorian English impression. I should never do that. I should never do that again. Never again. Let me quickly share this on... Let me quickly share this on WhatsApp, on the WhatsApp group, and then we can kick it off. Again, bring on the questions. Doesn't have to be about English. It can be about culture things or sales or whatever. Thank you, Summer. Much appreciated. Good to hear it. Excellent. Also, maybe I'll take you guys quickly through the sale thing, just so we're clear on that. I want to show you that too. Okay. If you're interested in joining the WhatsApp group, you can reach out to someone in the comments, maybe who's in the WhatsApp group, and share your desire to join, and I'm sure someone would be willing to let you in, or maybe not. Actually, I'm not usually the main decision maker on that stuff. All right. Phrasal verbs pretty complicated. Yep, we'll get to that. Good question. Good question. Good question. Of course. 1 second, guys. Bear with me. I'm sure this is super interesting. Hearing me typing. This is the show, guys. Me typing. This is the show. All right. I just want to show you one thing here. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So this is, by the way, the new website. I like it a lot. I think it's cool. The hosting is better, which means the videos load faster, and just overall it's a smoother thing than what we had before. So this is the website, and you can check out, of course, individually the courses, right? But if you want to, if you go to all courses, or you can just click on the link in the description, there's a yearly membership, right? And so this comes with a 7-day trial. Now this is the full amount here. The yearly membership has a Black Friday sale going on now. So if you're interested in checking it out, you can do the 7-day trial, but then it is going to be a lower price than you would normally get. It comes with all of these courses. I will be adding a How to Improve Your English course there shortly, which will also be included in that membership. And as long as you're a member, for 1 year, you get access to all of these. So you could go through all of these courses easily in a year. I mean, if you go through them slowly, even if you go through them slowly, I would say you could finish all of them in a year. So I think that's an incredibly good deal there. So jump on that, friendly friends. Jump right on that. Okay. Hello, Grace. Good afternoon. Good evening. Vassal's here. Awesome. What is the name of that Telegram group? It's not a Telegram group. Actually, I don't think I'm on Telegram at all. I am on I'm on Signal sometimes. I'm on WhatsApp. And there's a WhatsApp group. So hello from Bordeaux. Hello, Junior. Welcome. All right. Well, why don't we get into some of the questions we have, and then we'll get into some other stuff later on. It kind of goes without saying, right? Grace, it's been a while, I think, since you've joined. Nellie Grace, I should say. Nellie Grace. Okay, this is a good question from Karina. So I think I'll answer this one. I like this question. Oh, wait. What? Karina says, I found phrasal verbs pretty complicated to learn. Can you recommend an easy way to memorize them? That's good. I would recommend treating a phrasal verb as a word. And the tricky thing is not to treat it as just a word that has a meaning, but as a word that might have different meanings, not meetings, sorry. So think about a word that has several different meanings. Well, how about charge? That's a good one. How many different meanings does the word charge have? Well, you could charge something on your credit card. You could also charge forward very quickly and run your head into a wall, or like a bull, charge forward. You could lose charge on your phone, or you could charge your phone, which is similar to the credit card thing, but not quite the same, not exactly the same, right? So charge has a lot of different meanings. So that's one word, but if you think of it as different words, then it's actually easier to learn it because you can look at it in the situation of a credit card and look at it in the situation of your phone battery and look at it in the situation of sort of that physical meaning of running forward. Looking at it in all three of those situations allows you to visualize what it means. So if I say charge my credit card, I can picture myself swiping something or inserting my card and paying for something, right? And that helps me remember it. I always find it useful when learning words to try my best to, in my imagination, connect the word to some visual thing that's going to be more memorable, right? Because if I just remember the word charge, I might forget all the different meanings, which would then mean that I don't really know the word. Okay, so that's how we treat words that have different meanings. What about phrasal verbs? Well, then we say it's more than one word, so that's different, right? Not really. It's not really different, right? A word like come across, which has 3 or 4 different meanings. A word like look up to, which I'm sure you know, which has 3 or 4 different meanings. You can treat these as individual words, right? You can treat these as separate things and use that same way to learn them by imagining a way that they're used in. So let's say something as simple as look up. I know I've talked about this example before, but it's such an easy one. I'm sure you already know it, so maybe that will make it easier. To look up something is researching. So when you're looking up something, just picture yourself in a book trying to find something, find a piece of information, or you're on your computer looking for something to look up how tall Mount Everest is. You're looking that up, okay? All right, so what about the other one? Well, there's the physical meaning of actually moving your head upwards. So look up, all right? That's straightforward too. So you can picture yourself doing that, right? Then there's look up to, which means admire, to look up to someone. So there you would imagine yourself with someone you admire. Maybe it's a famous person. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a mentor. You're looking up to them. You picture yourself looking at that person like this. Wow, amazing. I look up to that person. These visualizations help you remember these kind of as separate things, even though they are the same word or the same phrasal verb. The structure of a phrasal verb is also kind of unique in that the phrasal verb itself has 2 words, but can become 1 word if it becomes a noun. So look up would be a noun or an adjective, I should say. So look up would be 2 words, to look up to someone or to look up some information. But then a lookup tool, well, tool would be a noun, and then lookup would become 1 word, L-O-O-K-U-P, lookup tool. So that's now 1 word, and that's now an adjective, okay? And if lookup could be used as a noun, I suppose it could be. I can't think of an example where you would use lookup as a noun. But things like take off would be a noun, or do a workout. I'm going to go do a workout at the gym. Well, work out is a phrasal verb. Do a workout. A workout. Oh, that's a single word. So when we nounify or adjectivify words, or rather phrasal verbs, we just say them as 1 word. But then when they're separate, talked about as actions, then they're 2 again. But treat them as separate, and try to visualize them based on their individual meanings. So work out. To work out problems. You're sitting with a friend, you're talking about something you disagree with them on, and trying to figure out a solution. You're working out at the gym, lifting weights or running or something like that. That's working out. Okay, so lots of different ways to use those. How do you find them? I've talked about this also probably a million times. I like thedictionary.com. That's my favorite one because that has phrasal verbs and idioms. So it's a very useful, helpful way to look up words and phrasal verbs and idioms, and even the beginnings of words if you want to know how something, are there words that begin with B? Give me words that begin with BR, for example. You can search that, and synonyms and all that stuff. It's pretty cool, pretty good stuff. All right, great question from Karina, as usual. Thanks a lot, Karina. If you guys haven't already done so, don't forget to hit the like button. Much appreciated, very important. Subscribe if you haven't done so. And also check out my full courses in the links in the description. All right. you can be charged with something. That's one I didn't even mention. Right. Charged with something would be like someone has accused you of doing a crime. Absolutely, 100%. Is workout a synonym of gym? Good question, Nelly. So no, workout is not a synonym of gym. The workout, let's see. The gym is the place. So gym is like the place you go to do the exercise. Workout, as a verb, work out, 2 words, is the same as exercise as a verb. But then when we use exercise as a noun and we use work out as a noun, it's a little different because we say, I'm going to go do some exercise. All right. So there, I'm doing the thing, right? But when we say work out, we wouldn't say, I'm going to go do some workout. I'm going to go do a workout. So there, the meaning of workout as a noun is something like one thing, a unit, that this 45-minute period where I'm at the gym doing specific exercises, and I first do my legs, and then I do my arms, and then I do my back, and then I run on the treadmill. That is my workout. And when you get home, someone will say, how was your workout? It was such a great workout today. But you can make improvements or changes to your workout. Or maybe on different days, you have different kinds of workouts. So they're like individual routines. You might say, today was a leg workout. Today was a cardio workout. Today was an arms and back workout. Or maybe it's the purpose of the workout. Today is a kickboxing workout. So you're trying to improve your kickboxing. So it's a workout, not necessarily doing kickboxing. Maybe it's just to improve in some way to make yourself stronger so that you can do kickboxing better. So it's so useful, but you can think of it in that way as these individualized little routines that you do. And then when they're done, you can say, I did that one. That's, I think, a good way of thinking of it. Hope that makes sense. Hi from China. Ziao Yuan. Hello. I work out a compromise with you. Absolutely. Vissel's got all of the ones here. Let all things work out. That's a good one. Vissel points out. All things work out means you don't have to do anything. It's kind of like let it go and things will just sort of eventually magically be okay. But we don't necessarily have to put a lot of thought or action into making it happen a certain way, if that makes sense. Can I use workout meaning other types of physical exercise? I like to work out every day. Swimming. Yeah, you could call swimming a workout, yes. Yes, swimming you could consider to be, for sure. Swimming you can consider to be a workout. 100%. Could you add a new Telegram group because it's a good platform for easy for everyone to speak online and meeting Vin there? So is Telegram special? Is it different? I've thought about many times starting a Discord, but I haven't thought about a Telegram. The benefit of a Discord is that it's more of a community vibe, right? I mean, you have posts and people can interact with individual posts, and you can have threads, right? Like Reddit, but Telegram, huh? Telegram Messenger. Let's see if it's the same as WhatsApp or Signal. I don't know if I can add one more of those. I've got to do this. Powerful, fast, open, expressive, secure. Yeah. They all are, except they're not. Live streams. Okay, well that's interesting. Telegram was launched over 8 years ago, and today we are continuing our tradition of monthly updates with version 8.0. Maybe I should I'm just reading about Telegram here. Unlimited live streams. Our previous update made group calls a powerful tool for live broadcasts, and their audience is unlimited except by the popularity of your channel or the population of Earth, whichever is more relevant. That's funny. Start a live stream in a channel or video chat in a group. So you can have groups and topics within groups. Ah. So this looks like you can go live, unlimited live streams. Or maybe we could have one live during these live streams, so then there could be comments in there too, or we could interact in there too. All right, you know what? I'll check it out. I will check it out. It looks fun. Again, I'm using right now, I just use regular old iMessage, which, by the way, I don't really like. Apple's Messenger service. Not a huge fan of that. And I'm also using Signal for some things, and I'm using WhatsApp. I like Signal's okay. It's pretty new, so they're working things out, but it's not bad. Cool. Vissel says, sorry, Luke, for butting in. I'm also an English teacher. Hey, man, no worries. No worries. I like it. Oh, here we are again. So I'm going to be spending more time on the website later this year and next year to improve it even more. Going to add features like, for example, the yearly membership will come with a better way to interact directly with me. So if you're a yearly member, if you have questions about things, I mean, people who are doing my courses now, if they ask me questions or need help, I'm always there. But I want to make it a little easier for people to do that. If you're in the website and you maybe you're taking this course, Advanced American English Pronunciation. Okay, so you're taking this course and you have questions along the way. Is this pronunciation right? That kind of thing. I'd like to add. So working on that to improve it, hoping to make it as smooth as possible. Aziz, hi Luke. Appreciate your fluency course. How to know which phrasal verbs to learn first? Are there some phrasal verbs which are used the most? Here's what I would do. This is actually a good question, not specifically for the phrasal verbs reason though. So I would like to point out another thing about this, which I think is important. Aziz says, "Hi Luke, I appreciate your fluency course." Thank you. How to know which phrasal verbs to learn first? Are there some phrasal verbs which are used the most? Let's say this is true for phrasal verbs, for words, vocabulary words, for other idioms and phrases, even grammar. Instead of saying, follow this specific order, once you get past the basics, let's say you've learned 6,000 English words. Okay, that's maybe a little more than that, but let's say you've learned 6,000 English words, and you can communicate on a basic level, and you can have simple conversations, and you like to learn, but you're thinking, what should I do next? Rather than listening to what someone else tells you should learn next, I would strongly recommend that you choose instead what presents itself to you to learn next. And that requires you to put yourself in situations where you regularly encounter new things. But the key is when you encounter those new things, they're highly relevant to you so that you can tie those things directly into that life experience that you have when you learn those things. This is true even beyond language. I would recommend, generally speaking, people learn things that become meaningful to them as they touch the edges of your awareness, right? There are a few things I'm reading about right now. I'm kind of obsessed with reading these things and learning about these things, these ideas, but that's because at some point they kind of touched the edge of my awareness, and I was thinking of, what is that? I need to know more about that. So it's important to me, not because someone told me I should learn it, but because I encountered it and it sparked my curiosity. So do that with everything that you learn when it comes to English. However, if you're just sitting there, nothing's going to come to you. Nothing's going to appear to you. So you have to then read regularly, watch movies and TV shows regularly, try to have as many conversations as you can regularly, which may involve, for example, joining an online meetup group. You can join those for free and practice your English for free. Book clubs, discussion groups, they're all mostly online now, and you can join those and practice your English and make friends and talk about interesting things. In these situations, whether it's reading or movies or TV shows or conversations or whatever, you are going to find yourself quite regularly encountering new things. That's a new word that I didn't know before. There's a phrase I didn't know. What is this grammar structure? The colon there? Why is it what? So all of this stuff, that will then tell you, okay, learn that next. When you focus on, okay, I need to learn this sentence that uses a colon in this way because my boss sent it to me in an email, and now I need to understand it. So now I know how to do it. If I need to use it, I can. You've learned something that's relevant to your life, and it becomes more memorable to you because it's related to your life. And it encourages you to get out there and experience more stuff, okay? Now, there are other ways to do it, of course. For example, I have a course teaching idioms, 4 courses teaching 260 common idioms. You're welcome to check that out. That course does kind of just tell you, okay, now we're going to learn this one. Okay, now we're going to learn this one. Because that's really the only way as a teacher that you can share stuff is you make a course and here it is, right? So that's one thing. That's one way to do it. I would recommend, for example, you're going through that course, then listen for those idioms and expressions when you're experiencing the world and go back to that lesson and rewatch it. Each lesson is only maybe 7 minutes long. Learn that idiom, relearn that idiom. Oh, I heard that idiom in real life or from a book that I learned in Luke's course about idioms, but I remember it, but I forget what it means or all the different meanings. So then you go back to that lesson and then you watch it again and then you understand the situation better. There's this then beautiful relationship between what's happening in your life and what you're learning academically. So this would be my recommendation. This is how I continue to learn stuff. Follow your instincts, follow your curiosity, and never stop. Always be pushing yourself a little bit. You should always be slightly uncomfortable. Like when I've been reading recently about like this stuff about alchemy and mysticism and Gnosticism and just stuff that few people really care or know about. I feel almost frustrated, like I don't know enough about this, and it makes me angry. So I have to read furiously to understand as much of it as possible, as quickly as possible. It almost upsets me that I don't know. So that's a positive feeling in that case because it drives me to do it. Okay, so hopefully that helps. And again, don't forget, guys, to check out the full courses. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Yeah, I mean, you can't remember all phrasal verbs. I probably don't know all phrasal verbs, right? I definitely don't know all phrasal verbs. I don't know every English word. 100%. No English speaker knows every single English word. That is a guarantee. So that's why you can't say, okay, I'm going to learn all of them, because nobody knows all of them. So what can you do? Just keep going. It will accumulate. If you have consistent, regular practice and exposure, it will build up very quickly over time. You'll be surprised. But if you kind of sit back and say, well, I'm waiting for the right method, I'm waiting until something happens, then you'll never build up you'll never accumulate what you could if you were just following your curiosity. Luke, have you ever thought about learning a different language, maybe Spanish? I learned Spanish in high school for 2 years. When I visited Colombia, I was surprised at how much I was actually able to remember from high school, because I hadn't practiced it until then. But I learned Chinese when I was in China and lived in China for 4 years. So, and my wife is Chinese, so we communicate in Chinese a bit as well. More English than Chinese, for sure. But yeah, that's been a fun language to practice and learn. All right. What I'd like to do is go over a video now. I want to talk about Victorian English. Let me pop this up. You've probably heard of the Victorian era, or Victorian English, maybe Victorian architecture. It's this very special and unique period of time, and it references the period of time in which Queen Victoria was the queen. So 19th century, later 19th century. And so what I want to do is share a short video of someone who speaks Victorian English from that era, is explaining their childhood or their younger years. There's this older lady who was interviewed in the 1970s, who's 108 years old, born in the 19th century, speaking that very unique style of very formal, clear style of British English. What I'd like to do then as we go through it is kind of say, this is how I would say these things. So we can kind of compare and contrast. I think it is very interesting. But I want to then point out, if I were going to say what she's saying, how would I say it? And we can see some differences between that sort of classical British Victorian English and modern American English. This does not mean that people in the UK speak like she does. In fact, they don't. The Queen might, but I think very few people actually talk like this lady does. This interview is from, I believe, 1977. So let's check it out. Let's check it out. All right, here we go.
In Paris, nothing mattered. But I'm speaking of years before that. Years. When I suppose I was about 10. Yeah.
All right, so that's the first one. I suppose I was about 10. That is actually something that people would say sometimes. And again, we're comparing this sort of Victorian English to modern sort of American English. I would usually say, I guess I was about 10. I might say once in a while, I suppose I was about 10. It's not incorrect to say it. People do say it. I just think it's less common than I guess. I guess I was about 10. I suppose I was about 10.
Yes. There was a cartoon in Punch.
I don't even know what that means. A cartoon in Punch. Maybe it's a sort of in the newspaper, or I don't know what that means.
Old-fashioned bus with the seats going parallel with the bus.
Oh, a bus.
In Paris, nothing mattered. But I'm speaking of years before that. Years. When I suppose I was about...
I think Florence is also not a super common name anymore. I do know someone named Florence, but actually she calls herself Flo instead of Florence. I don't think it's particularly common.
10.
Yes.
There was a cartoon in Punch of the old-fashioned bus with
Old-fashioned bus. Okay.
seats
Old-fashioned is common.
going parallel with the bus. And all the men going like this.
Yes. What were they looking for?
There was a woman crossing the road.
I love how she uses the R's. Those rolling R's are amazing. There was a woman crossing the road. It's so great. It's so great. I wish that was something that people actually did. I mean, even British English, that I think has maybe completely died out. You see it like in older TV shows. If you watch Downton Abbey, you get that sort of there it is, that road sort of rolling tongue thing. But it's nowhere in American English, except maybe that the sound that Cardi B makes. She does that sort of rolling sound. Maybe she's bringing it back. Cardi B is bringing back the tongue roll. Awesome.
And holding her dress up and showing her ankle to there.
Oh.
Tut. Florence.
She says tut, meaning like unbelievable. She's doing that sarcastically because back then that was considered a risque thing. In England, she said before, in Paris nothing mattered, but in England people are a little bit more conservative, and someone showed their ankles in public. That's very ooh.
Yes.
Tell me a bit about how you managed to start your own beauty business.
No.
Do people do this type of R in Scotland? Good question. I believe yes. What I mean to say is the England, I think it has died out. Scotland, I think it is still there. I'm not an expert in Scottish, the Scottish pronunciation, but yeah, I believe it's still there.
Lady worked in those days. It was only a companion or a teacher.
What is the difference between die and die out, by the way, would be something like... Die could be used more generally, and die out would mean something is gone forever. It's disappeared. Sort of like extinction.
She could be a hospital nurse. But not private.
So it was difficult.
Oh, for women, shockingly difficult.
Okay, there's one. Shockingly difficult. Again, it's kind of like, I guess and I suppose, you might hear someone say shockingly, as an adverb. Shockingly beautiful, shockingly difficult, shockingly hard, right? But I think more often, most people are just going to say very, or really, or extremely instead. Because very and really, sometimes you get bored of saying those. You don't want to say very difficult. Extremely difficult is fine. Maybe even better to say that. Extremely. I would say extremely is far more common than shockingly, and maybe extremely has replaced shockingly because they're kind of the same meaning. Oh, it's very, 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 right? So shockingly, extremely, I think are similar, but extremely it's much more common. I use it a lot.
I can tell you a story about that. That was also, I think, in Punch.
Punch? What is she saying? Punch? What is that?
A scraggy woman seated in a chair, little girl playing on the floor, about 4 years old, and an awful-looking man this side in an armchair. Mother, when I grow up, shall I have to be married?
Okay, shall I have to be married? That is definitely sort of a Victorian English phrase. To my ears, it sounds extremely formal. And I would say instead, Mother, when I grow up, will I have to get married? To be married is something that you are. In more modern sort of American English, we would say, I am married. They are married, right? When it happens, when you talk about it in the future, or even in the past, the event itself, we use instead of be, we use get. They're going to get married next year. We got married last year. So maybe this would be, will I have to get married? Instead of should I have to be married? Will I have to get married? Do I, could also be okay, have to get married? Shall I sounds old-fashioned to me. Shall I would be a standalone question, right? Where we're standing here and it's time to go and someone says, well, shall we? Shall we means let's go. So we still use the word shall, but it's often used in that standalone question style. Shall we go? Shall we leave? Shall we? Just that by itself, more often than a whole sentence as a question. Shall we prepare for da-da-da-da? There we might say, can we prepare for the, or do you think we should prepare for the, or maybe should we would be okay. Should also has replaced shall in a lot of situations.
Yes, dear. Shall I have to marry a man like father?
Again, shall I?
Yes, dear.
Also, I don't know of any, very few probably, American kids who call their parents mother and father, unless they're talking about them like my. So they might say my mother, my father. But you would only use my mother and my father when you're not talking to someone who knows them. And if you're talking to someone in your family, then you would say mother, father. But that would be the old-fashioned sort of way of doing it. There you would then probably say in American English, mom, dad. So that's an interesting one. That's also an interesting difference between English and Chinese. If you're talking to your mother about your father, you would say, my father. But in English, we would just say father, or, more common, dad. But you would say my mother, my father, when they don't know your mother or father. You're talking to them about this person they are not aware of. They don't know, they've never met them. My mother was very strict. My father was very strict. I'm not saying that about my mother and father. They weren't. But that's what you would say to someone else who's never met them. Hope that makes sense. I would usually say my mom and my dad. Mom, dad. Mom, dad. Now, British English, modern British English, I think they would maybe still use mother and father, maybe a little more common, but it would be for mom, instead of M-O-M, it would be M-U-M, mum. And I think they use dad as well. I think it's the same spelling, D-A-D. Someone can correct me on that. But mum, M-U-M, and mom, M-O-M, for American English is M-O-M.
And if I don't marry him, shall I be an old maid like Aunt Eliza?
That would be, then she's sort of changing it. That would be, will I be an old maid? An old maid is someone who's not married, who never got married, and it's kind of a pathetic thing at this time.
Yes, dear. Silence for me.
She's a good storyteller.
Say, Mother, it's a hard world for us women, isn't it?
Do we use say when we start it? Say, Mother. That was actually common in America up until maybe the 1960s or something. If you watch old TV shows from the 1950s, people use say as an interjection. Say, that's pretty interesting. Say, do you think we should that would be something that you would use to start off a comment or start off a question or express an emotion. Now we would say, huh, wow, so, well, that sort of thing. So, well, and sometimes, wow, if it's a sense of excitement or used as an excited interjection. Here exactly where she says,
Say, Mother.
there it might be, hey, Mom. Hey, Mom.
It's a hard world for us women.
It's hard work for us women. Hey, Mom. That would be, hey, Mom. Say, Mother. Victorian English. American English. Hey, Mom.
Isn't it?
Have you ever been in an aeroplane?
Never.
Would you like to?
I shouldn't mind now, but I wouldn't when...
There, shouldn't mind now. Most people, I would say, I wouldn't mind now. Wouldn't instead of shouldn't. Wouldn't mind. It's a hypothetical. Hypothetical situation. It's not the case. I wouldn't mind. Not saying I will go on an airplane, but I wouldn't mind. It's an okay idea.
I first came in, I never fancied them.
Oh, okay. I never fancied that. I've never used that in my entire life. To fancy, I quite fancy that, right? To fancy something is to like it or enjoy it or to be interested in that, right? I fancy British cinema or British comedy. I like it. In American English, modern American English, no, we don't use that. Modern American English is something like, I like it, I enjoy it, I'm interested in that. I was never interested in flying. I never liked flying. I never wanted to fly. Those sorts of common phrases, I've never used fancy in my entire life in that way. As an adjective, it's common. Ooh, that's very fancy. A thing that is very above what it needs to be, maybe very expensive and has a lot of extra features. Ooh, very fancy, very fancy. As an adjective, common. To fancy something, not common, not common.
But I would now because I'm more venturesome.
Adventuresome.
I think you've been very adventurous.
Now notice the younger interviewer says adventurous, and this lady says adventuresome. So that highlights a perfect difference between, there's basically the same word, right? Adventuresome and adventurous. Adventuresome and adventurous. Which one would you guess is the one that's in modern usage? Adventurous, for sure. That's British English, American English, adventurous. Adventuresome is pretty outdated. It sounds to me like Victorian English. I might read that in Sherlock Holmes or something. Quite adventuresome. Okay, so that's just a matter of the ending changing a little, but the basic word being the same.
Right through your life. What's the biggest change of all you've seen?
The biggest change, everything.
I love how she says that. It's so great. Everything. I wish this lady was my grandma.
All you've seen.
The biggest change, everything. Nothing is the same. Everything is changed.
Yeah, well, there you go. Okay, so there you have it. Victorian English. And this has got to be fairly authentic. I mean, it's hard to get a real recording of Victorian English, right? Because we don't have as much video or audio as we do for modern English. So being able to hear that from someone who's actually growing up during the Victorian era, actually learning to speak in that way, I think is fascinating. To get to hear that and compare it to modern English, I find to be an interesting exercise. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Also, if you haven't done so already, don't forget to like, hit the thumbs up, and subscribe. You can also check out my full English courses. If you are serious about your English and looking to improve, check out my full English courses in the links in the description. All right. Adventuresome is easier to say. I kind of agree, but if I hear it, it sounds old. It sounds outdated, right? Yeah, a Victorian English, I would describe it as somewhat close to posh British English, right? like the Queen's English. You know, it's very stiff and rigid, but it's clear. It's very easy to hear. There is that still maybe the occasional that rolling R sound, which I find fascinating. Everything. It's great. That's great. Okay, let's get to some questions. Victorian age is also called the Romantic age. Yep. Victorian is also a style of house. So let's see, a Victorian home. So this the kind with the pointy. It's actually a pretty popular style of architecture in the United States called a Victorian home. It has a lot of points, and it's got towers. It's got peaks. It's quite interesting. I'm not my favorite, but pretty interesting. All right, let's see what questions I missed. I missed everything. Painted ladies in San Francisco are Victorian, aren't they? Yeah. Painted ladies. Let's see. Victorian and Edwardian buildings. Edwardian. I'm not sure if I'm familiar with Edwardian. So, who said that? 101 Star Wars fan said is let's just pop over here. So, these are the painted ladies. And they're famous. You can see them on the show Full House in the intro. And so there's houses on a hill in San Francisco. Honestly, if you go there, they're across from a park. Nothing special. I'm not a huge fan of San Francisco, so I'm a little biased. But, But what is Edwardian? I don't know. Anyway, those are the painted ladies. There you have it. I guess it's maybe considered a landmark. I don't know. What's the difference between throw out and puke? And actually, there's another one, follow-up, a correction. Throw up and puke, which is actually correct. Okay, so throw up and puke. They're the same. So let's take 3 words. Puke, throw up, and vomit. And I realize that throw up is 2 words, but that's a phrasal verb. So to puke is a verb, it's an action. Bleh means whatever's in your stomach comes out, maybe because you get sick, right? Once it's out and on the floor or wherever it can be called puke, the thing that happened. And what did you do? I puked. I don't want to puke. I puked. But what's the feeling? What's the connotation? This is where synonyms don't quite cover it. Because you can say a synonym is a word that means the same thing as another word or phrasal verb. But then you have to ask yourself, what is the connotation? The connotation is the feeling we get when we say it. So, can I say exactly in the same way, throw up? I threw up yesterday. What is that on the floor? Throw up. You can call it throw up on the floor. It is that on the floor in the toilet. There is throw up there. Okay. The feeling of throw up is a little bit more neutral, And when I hear it, doesn't make me think of the disgusting stuff that smells bad that actually comes out. But when I hear the word puke, it seems like something that, number one, is less formal sounding, more casual, slang-ish feeling English. And I can't stop myself from visualizing, like, puke. It's gross. I get a visual image that's different. And I don't know if that's the same for everybody. So I'm kind of sharing how I feel about it. It's a sense of almost slang, more casual, a little more visual. So I prefer throw up for that reason. It helps me to distance myself a little bit from the mental image of that, right? So if I say I threw up, then I'm focusing on the feeling of not feeling well, having nausea, having a temperature or whatever I had that caused me to do that. And there seems to me less focus on the action that I don't want to think about. Or what about vomit? So vomit is in the same way. It's a synonym as well. You would use it as the noun. There is vomit on the floor, and also as the action, to vomit. All right, to vomit after drinking too much, for example. I vomited. You could say that. I would say it's a little bit closer to throw up than puke. Puke just has this sort of very visceral feeling to me, and I don't know exactly why, but it's not nice. I don't like the visual that comes with it, so I prefer vomit or throw up, personally speaking. All of those are okay. They're totally fine. It's just a matter of exploring the usage, and that would be exploring the connotation of these words. So whenever you learn words, don't just learn them, because you can't just immediately use them and say, I know them, until you know the usage. Who uses these words? When people use them, what's the feeling that other people get? What are the connotations? What are the visual images? Those things are important because they can affect how people feel when you are communicating. Okay? So hopefully that helps. It's a good question. Thank you for asking. And if you haven't already done so, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button as well. Check out my full courses in the links in the description. Okay. It's a good question, actually. Vissel says you lost your lunch over the floor. Yeah, you could lose your lunch. I've heard that. Yep. Edwardian is Winchester Man's. Okay, let me search Edwardian. Edwardian home. Oh, one of them is the Painted Ladies. But it looks, to me, it looks more like, oh, getting different styles here. Is that like a Tudor style home? I'm seeing different styles. Some are brick, some are sort of the Tudor style cottage look. Some are, it's inconsistent. It's not nearly as consistent as the other style. The Victorian style is very consistent with the peaks. Seems to have a slightly more modern look. Anyway, I don't know anything about architecture. Although I did take my first year of university, I took an architecture 101 course, and that was really interesting. I got to learn about some of the different styles and the history behind the styles. I'm interested in architecture. I just don't know too much about it. Hey, Luck, how's it going? You mean Luke? Svetlana, very timely. It's a good question. Svetlana asks, hey Luke, I'd like to ask about the word bestie as best friend. Is it common in everyday English? So it depends on who you are, right? This is another case of the connotation. So if there's a word that becomes popular, who gets to say it, right? If I heard My grandmother, who's 81 years old, if I heard her say, I'm going to go to Ashland to meet my bestie, it would blow my mind. I would be so shocked by that. Why? That's not a word in her vocabulary. She grew up in the 1930s, 1940s. She grew up with a totally different set of language. And I think once you get to a certain point, your language kind of gets locked in. And in fact, it's not necessarily a bad thing that it gets locked in, because that helps you identify with people in your generation. And if you start using some words outside of that, it might be kind of uncomfortable and awkward. Now, it really depends on the word, too, because some words rise into popularity and become universal, meaning that you need to use those words in order to communicate with everyone. So a perfect example of that would be something like the word smartphone. If I heard because smartphones were not around when my grandma was 12 years old, right? There were barely telephones, right? So she would not know the word smartphone. Now, if I heard her say the word smartphone, I'm getting a new smartphone next week, it would not blow my mind, because that word describes a specific thing, and there isn't another word to describe that specific thing. So there's not a generational component to it. But with bestie, there is. So she would describe that as her close friend, her closest friend, her dear friend, her dearest friend. I might say a close friend, a best friend, a good friend. Maybe close friend would be how I would describe it. Even I feel uncomfortable using bestie. To me, when I think of bestie, the connotation is teenagers, right? A teenager has besties. Someone who's under age 20 has besties. So for me, it's uncomfortable to say that as to mean best friend. But does that mean I shouldn't know it? No, that doesn't mean I shouldn't know it. I need to know it. It's good to know things, but you don't necessarily have to use everything that you know. I know a lot of things I don't use. I know tons of things I don't use. And it helps me to understand my world and interact with my world. But then when it comes to saying things, when it comes to communicating, one of my calculations that I make when I'm speaking is, what is going to allow me to effectively express myself in a way that is authentic to who I am? And saying bestie doesn't feel right, so I won't use it. And I also know that if I say my bestie, someone else might think, well, why is that old man saying bestie? Strange, you know. I know that as well. And I don't even feel right saying it, because it just feels like it doesn't belong to me. It doesn't belong to my generation. So that's the line between, here's a word, here's what it means, here it is in the dictionary, and here's a word that people use. This group of people use it. This group of people don't. Which one are you in? That's a higher level of learning. That's a level of learning that you have to get into if you want to become really fluent in English. If you want to master the language, you have to be aware of those connotations, those usage questions. In fact, usage becomes extremely important as you get higher and higher into the English language to feel who uses it, right? Nobody told me what I just said about it being strange for me to use, but not an 18-year-old. I'm just telling you how I feel about it. And how did I get that? I don't know. The people I hear using it are in that age group. When I see it on TV, it's a certain type of person. I identify it with a specific type of person, right? So that's all I can say. And in order to get an understanding of the word, you have to get a sense for how it feels for people to use it. One last thing I want to do is search it in the dictionary. So let's go to Webster. I'm going to go to Webster Dictionary, and I'm going to search the word bestie and search, and it comes up, noun. Best friend is the meaning. Informal. That's a little hint, right? The holiday was a present from my bestie to celebrate my 32nd birthday. See, I think the example they gave to me doesn't work. I'm 32. I wouldn't use it, right? So maybe a better example. How about my 17th birthday? That works. So hopefully that answers your question, Svetlana. That's a good one. Thank you for asking. Guys, if you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, check out the full courses in the links in the description. Also, the link in the description, that is a Black Friday sale going on now for the yearly membership. Sign up for the yearly membership. Doing so, you get access to all of my courses. You can, it should be, which one? I was showing it earlier. So this one, it's on sale. So this is the full price. This is the full price, but there's a 7-day trial. And if you think about that, that's investing in a year, 1 year, and it's also lower than that for the Black Friday sale. This is the full price, and you get access to all of these courses. That's, I don't know how many hours. That's maybe 50 hours of courses. Plus, if you have questions, you can always come to me and ask me, and I'm always willing to help students taking my courses go above and beyond for those students. All right. One sec. Okay, let me see what I missed here. Bedtime for Karina. Okay. 1 sec. Sorry, I'm getting a text. Let me answer a text. So I know it's rude for me to do that here. All right, maybe I didn't miss any. Yeah. I think we're good. I think we're all caught up. Alejandro, hello, hello, hello. Going well. Thank you for asking. Tan Neck, thank you very much. Fantastic stream. Very special today. Oh, glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Yeah, guys, let me know what other stuff. I mean, I'm interested in doing more stuff like the Victorian English video, kind of watching videos together. So let me know what type of stuff you want to watch. Why are you coughing? I don't know. I'm coughing because I need to cough, I guess. Is what it is. Yeah, so let me know what type of content you'd like to explore. I would like to more often use these live streams to just sort of explore stuff like that. I think they're quite interesting. Victorian English stuff could be language learning stuff specifically, or not. Like earlier this week, we did we watched the train guy. What's his name? Francis Bourgeois. I'm sure some of you were here for that, but can we do a recap? This guy. This is a class 158, and it's one of my favorite DMUs. I want to say hi. Oh, thank you. That was a cute honk. This is a so innocent and pure, this guy. Most people, we did a vote live. Most people agreed that Francis is not a troll, that he really does like trains, and he's just a little bit self-aware about his love of trains. He's aware that it's silly and films it accordingly to entertain people. So Vissel's always talking about statives. You know, one of these days we're gonna do it. I've been holding off on statives for a couple reasons. Number one, I feel like to really learn about stative verbs requires a complete lesson, which requires building up a framework about verbs in general, and then diving into specifically what a stative is, how it's used, how we can differentiate it with examples. So to give a sort of quick Q&A answer to something that I think requires framing and build up and context, I think doesn't do it quite justice and would make it maybe more confusing for some people. I have a complete lesson written on statives. I wrote it last year. It will be in a grammar course coming out next year on all of English grammar. So I have a huge course coming out next year about English grammar in general. It's going to cover absolutely everything from soup to nuts English grammar, and it's going to be filled with examples. It took me 3 months just to write the course, right? Full time. So that's coming out, and I think when we get to the statives in that course, it will really click. So some things, you know, like Svetlana's question, it's more like, hey, explain this simple thing. Easy, no problem. But for something like that, it's not just a quick answer. It requires this as sort of... Okay, the reason I make courses, I have live streams, I make videos, and I do courses. These are not all the same thing, though. So these live streams are a chance to just sort of kind of hang out and answer some questions and watch some videos. Serious videos are on a specific topic. It's one topic, but then a course is meant to give you a very, very complete understanding of something. Like very soon coming out is a course on emails. Recently, I did a course on advanced American pronunciation. These courses are 5-6 hours long. That content is not available on YouTube. So that's for very serious learning. Not that the courses are serious. I'm still the same person doing the course, but this is based on stuff that's taken me months and months to write. Very carefully organized with careful examples. I spend most of my time working on these complete courses. I really put a lot into them and I believe they're they're valuable. So that's the difference between them. And so some questions, if I don't answer one, it's not like, oh, I don't care about your question. It's more like your question deserves a more complete answer, right? That's what it is. And that answer probably won't be on YouTube. Ferez says, I like your video of what we should say when someone dies. That was awesome. Oh, I'm glad. I appreciate that. Very glad to hear it. Awesome. Daily English vocabulary? Yeah, sure. Easy enough. Easy enough. All right, guys. Alejandro, sorry you joined a little late. I think we're going to call it a day for today. I appreciate all the great questions. If I didn't get to your question, bring it for next time. We'll probably do one early next week. I'm planning on doing 2 a week. So, yeah, join for that. And in the meantime, we've got the Black Friday thing going on. I just talked about how much time I put into the courses. If you want to benefit from those, the yearly membership will give you a 1-year access to all of my courses. You can sign up for that with a link in the description. If you have any questions, let me know. Send me a message. You can do that also from the website, I believe. And Of course, as you go along, I'll be there to help you along the way. Let's see. What else? Yes. We've got holidays coming up, so we might do something special for that. We'll see. I've got some ideas and plans, but we might do another English movie night. Maybe. We haven't done one of those in a while. Let's see. Anything else? I did mention last time, and I think it's going to be the case, that there might be a period for a couple weeks where I'm not doing any live streams because I'll be moving in. That might happen end of December, early January. So I'll be moving into a new place. So that's going to be pretty time consuming, and I might not even have a setup available, like this sort of studio setup. I won't even have one. So, all right. Well, thank you all for joining again. Like and subscribe if you haven't done so, especially like. That really helps out the channel. That is the best way to support what we're doing here. And I hope to see you in the next one. Have a fantastic Friday. Have a fantastic weekend. And have a fantastic next week as well. Take care, everybody. I will see you later. Ah, yes. Dangling modifiers. Classic. See you guys.